Hello everyone, Maryann here, revealing light, tarot, astrology and spirituality. Wherever you are in the world when you're watching, a huge shout out to you. Apologies for a little lateness on this video. We've had some construction work going on here and it's occurring right next to where I'm recording. Anyway, it's finished now, hopefully, and we're ready to go. Okay, I want to start with the Australian election. Yes, I did predict that Anthony Albanese, the current Prime Minister now, the Prime Minister in his second term, would win the election. I initially read on him in about January, perhaps February, and I said the longer he can leave it, before he calls the election, the later he leaves it, the better he will do. That, in fact, proved to be the right strategy. He left. I don't know if he was listening or whether he was intuiting the same thing that I was. The longer he left it, the better he did. And my goodness, did he do well. Okay, the ALP has what I would call a super majority. This kind of win hasn't been seen by a Labor government in Australia since World War II, when we had the rise of Nazism, or the defeat of Nazism. And this is a stunning victory for him. The Conservatives were pretty much massacred. The ALP at this current time is sitting on 85 seats. The Conservatives are on 39 seats. And so you can see the extent of the loss for the Conservatives. This was a rebuke of Trump extremism without a doubt. The same as in Canada and the same as in Germany. It's a cautionary tale, and I've posted a story on Blue Sky with just that headline. It's a cautionary tale for the Republicans in the US, and I want to know if there was an election held tomorrow in the US, would the Trump and his party be re-elected? Because I suspect they wouldn't. Let's have a look just quickly before I finish with the Australian election. There was a minor party, a mining magnate, who threw millions and millions of dollars at the election, bombarding all of us with text messages on our private phones, which is allowed here during election time. He never let up, 2-3 messages in a space of 2 or 3 days. His name was Clive Palmer, and his party was called Trumpet of Patriots. Let me just quote you from the Guardian newspaper in Australia. What does spending tens of millions of dollars on advertising and bombarding people with unsolicited text messages get you? Nothing if you're Clive Palmer and the Trumpet of Patriots. That was the name of his party, at least in the House of Representatives. Trumpet of Patriots, Palmer's most recent political party, he does this every election, will not win a single lower house seat. Hurrah! And as of midday on Saturday, had only 1.85% of the national vote. Legalise Cannabis Australia, which spent, another minor party, which spent just $6,200 on social media ads in the last 30 days and barely campaigned, has so far won 1.14% of the vote. Let that be a lesson. There he is, Trumpet of Patriots. You can have a little smile to yourself right now. So Anthony Albanese, in his acceptance speech, spoke about respect for each other, spoke about leaving this toxic brand of politics and culture wars behind, showed respect to our First Nations peoples by using the welcome to country that they use at the beginning. Well, he used it at the beginning of his speech. It was mocked by certain Conservatives as being unnecessary, and I think the opposition leader, who lost his own seat as well, like Pierre Poilievre, said he would not stand behind an Aboriginal flag if it was next to the Australian flag. I mean, this kind of race baiting. Let me just say that Trump's campaign manager, Chris LaCivita, journeyed to Australia just before the election to advise the opposition leader, the Conservatives, on their campaign and policies. at every point those policies were rejected. Get out of our politics. You are toxic, Trump. Okay, so, all right. So Albanese spoke about respect, having respect, and also leaving culture war behind. But also he said, which was particularly, I guess, touched my heart. He said, kindness should never be seen as a weakness. Kindness should be seen as a strength. What other leader do you hear around Australia using that kind of phraseology or sentiment? You just don't hear that around the world. Hearing leaders speak like that, and they should. They should. So, Australia, Canada, Germany. A cautionary tale for the Republicans. All elections were a rebuke of Trump and his brand of toxic politics, ridiculous politics, unstable politics. All right, let's have a look. I think we can all agree on that. Let's have a look. If Trump went to the election, Trump and the Republicans went to the election in a fair and free election in the US tomorrow, would he win? He thinks he would. The drowned, the hanged man. I'm using the Japaritsi tarot and also the Rider-Waite. The drowned man, the hanged man. Well, yeah, the drowned man, the hanged man. And we have the King of Wands, courage and bravery stepping forward. So this fire energy, this motivation, passion easily comes through. There's a lot of reflection going on in the US at the moment, and not just among the Democrats. I think there's more anger among that party, but among independents and also some Republicans as well. In the Australian election, people who had voted the Conservatives all their life, which is the Liberal Coalition National Party, changed their vote and switched to Labor, which is the centre-left progressive wing of our politics. They changed their vote. So strongly did they want stability. We don't want to be pushed around. We don't want to be belittled. We don't want to be get into a war with China. They're our biggest trading partner, and they saw Albanese as being capable of being the most independent and making those wise decisions, which is what I saw on the reading just before the election. So in America, back to the election, there is a courage and a purpose stepping forward. We have the that's the King of Swords. I'm using the Japaritsi deck, and it's a new deck. Okay, so Winds is sword and air. My bad. So we have the Drowned Man and we have the King of Swords. Okay, so King of Swords is truth, planning, strategizing. I think what is going on in the grassroots in many, many ways that maybe you can't see, whether it's Democrats holding their own responsible, shaking up that complacency, whether it's the governors coming out and being strong or weak, depending on which governor you have. It's the people being brave enough to speak out and to protest. There's also a growing, I feel, legal. There's as much and all as you're going to see critical supply chain shortages. Well, I think they will be. We'll ask that question. There's going to be a crisis, and I'm not talking about a constitutional crisis. I understand lawyers are leaving the DOJ. There's so many lawsuits going on. There's so much. It's like a tsunami of legal. I don't know. Trouble, challenges are about to mount up and hit. The government is imploding in so many ways on the economy, but also legally as well. The Eight of Swords is as at the foundation of the reading. So many are worried. So many are feeling like they're imprisoned here. But I want to say that the energy behind this card is not one of imprisonment. It's you can get out of the jail anytime you want. Understand transforming that energy of helplessness into the doing will overcome this kind of energy. So the challenge at the moment is the anxiety and worry in the US. Okay, the World card is in the past. In a way, they've already lost. The World card speaks to endings of cycles. It's a major, major journey that has finished. It's already finished. And when I say it's already finished, you say, well, how can that be? He's got another 3 years to go. What happens now over the next 3 years? That's if he does the full term, which I predicted he won't. Even the doctors are with me saying at his age he's got only a 75% chance of being alive by the end of his presidency. He's 79 this year. Okay, so the World card is in the past. So this is finishing a journey, a cycle. And I could spend a lot of time explaining that cycle from the rise of the reality TV star through the various ways that, the failure to hold him to account, the failure, lots of crossroads, which were, the actual people who voted despite the ransacking of the Capitol. I could talk about all those crossroads. All that, it was all part of the cycle. But what I want to say is that it's finished. It's already finished. This is playing out now for your future, what you're going to get in the future. The Two of Tides, which is cups, is in the sky. And that's coming together with unity in the same way that we've seen Canada unite, Australia unite, even the Germans united. With two parties came together to form a fairly robust government which kept the extremism out. We have the Hierophant, the government in the near future. That's interesting. The Hierophant. It's like you've got to get past a certain set of challenges. The Hierophant is also spiritual connection as well. We have the Seven of Tides in the here and now, which is the Seven of Cups. And you just look at that card. That's in the present. That's the present energy. I don't even like looking at that card. Traditionally, it means choices. It means illusion, delusion, not being able to see, confusion, and bad choices. Can mean bad choices. The Six of Swords is in the environment around, and now you're moving. Now you're starting to move out of the troubled waters. And so I do see the movements. I predicted that the GOP would find their voice, perhaps not immediately, but eventually, and take the power of the tariffs away from him. Rand Paul led that effort with the Democrats. One vote. They lost by one vote. You can expect more of that. You've got the budget coming up soon. What sort of defections will we see? There's an attempt to raise the debt ceiling, for example, at a time when the economy it should be doing anything but that. The Four of Swords is in the hopes and fears, which is retreat, wounded in battle. And the outcome is the Eight of Pentacles. The Eight of Pentacles. So the Eight of Pentacles is somebody learning. And, here you see the alchemist trying to make gold. But this is somebody that's not quite there yet. And we have the Star. So there is a way to go, hope. There is a way to go that, having learnt the lessons, you can expect a similar result that Australia or even Canada or Germany did. And this is about karma. This is about, I keep saying that, the Justice card. So the Justice card, what is taken away is given back. And so if hope is taken away now, hope returns. And we have the Queen of Wands. People looking back and maybe, maybe I'll say it out loud, those who didn't want to vote for a female black vice president are now seeing that she was perhaps the best candidate going. So the tarot is telling me that they feel the gravity, voters feel the gravity of this moment, and we get the Three of Cups coming together in unity, and the Two of Gardens juggling the economy, and the Seven of Fire. Not a palatable card, is it? The Seven of Wands, defending oneself and manifesting something. So would they be elected? Is a simple question. However, it seems to me that right now the hope is that there will be a thorough waking up by the time we get to 2026. The Five of Wands is partisanship, competitiveness, the Hermit, isolation. We have the Stranger of Pentacles, which I think it might be the Knight, or the Page of Pentacles. Again, the economy, the Jester of Fire. I think that's the Page, so that might be the Knight. The Jester of Fire. Yeah, it's about waking up. I think what the biggest thing here is the MAGA supporters. Now, I know that only 13% are regretting their vote. 13% of MAGA are regretting their vote, but 13% of a die-hard type Trump supporter is significant. It seems that this is like a baptism of fire, and I feel that there is continued learning to take place. I know that's cold comfort, but if the election was held tomorrow, MAGA might choose someone like J.D. Vance over Trump, or they might choose someone like him over Trump. However, by the time we get to 2028, they may be looking for a completely different candidate, certainly Republicans. So sanity might be prevailing yet again. All right, let's have a look at let's have a look at his budget. Well, it gets through in its entirety. It's supposed to be, I'm hearing no. It's supposed to be done and dusted by your Memorial Day. If it goes on any longer than September, then they lose the reconciliation process, which means, they'd need 60 votes to pass it in the Senate. So let's see. Will Trump's budget pass in its entirety? Will Trump's budget pass in its entirety? Judgment. Change. It's inevitable. It'll have to be changed. There's so many cuts to, SNAP, Meals on Wheels, all of those things. There's a judgment, again, a karmic aspect here, and the Jester of Swords, which is a Page of Swords. No, there's going to have to be change. We have the Hermit, isolation. Doesn't look very good. The Wheel of Fortune is in the past, ironically, change. And the Page of Pentacles. There's change to it, won't pass in its entirety. The Five of Pentacles, it's a terrible, terrible thing. Massive cuts to programs. leaving people out, literally left out in the cold. The King of Swords is in the here and now, so planning, strategizing, the Three of Pentacles. I guess that what they're trying to do is approach those that they know in marginal seats that may not be with them. But I just see retreat, even their best efforts. And we get the Chariot, something moving out of control, and the King of Pentacles. And the Star card again. And the Ace of Cups. I feel it's not going to pass in its current iteration. There are people, there are Republicans who will not want to raise the debt ceiling. Republicans, they're trying to win them over. He will intervene wherever he can, but it's like things are getting out of control. Things are not stable. We get the Death card clarifying the Ace of Cups. It's over. Something ends here, and the Nine of Cups. It's sort of, I don't know. Nine of Cups is wish fulfillment. The High Priestess. Things that we can't see, programs that we can't name. This is a mess. That's all I can say. It's out of control. He's out of control. Republicans' feet are to the fire. The Four of Cups. The Four of Cups is disappointment and worry and anxiety and the truth coming out, something coming to fruition in time, and the economic downturn. This is a budget that's going to have difficulty passing in its current iteration, and we're going to see a lot more economic downturn. And it's a mess. If I can just say that, it's a mess. All right, let's see how critical supply chain shortages will get. Let's change to the Rider-Waite. How critical will supply chain shortages get? How critical will supply chain shortages get? How critical will supply chain shortages get? I'm seeing piping, plumbing supplies, building materials, things that maybe, the long, pipeline sort of stuff. So that's going to be affected in some way and will be quite serious. Building, plumbing, construction shortages, drainage stuff. That's what I'm seeing. I don't know where any of those materials are made, but you're going to hear about that soon. Okay, how critical will shortages get? Supply chain shortages get? Of course, the port's down 35%. Container vessels coming in, that affects the truckers, that affects, the dock workers, the unions that didn't support Kamala Harris, of course, have done it's a travesty for their members, the Teamsters, the dockyard workers. What a joke. What a joke. Okay. If it wasn't so serious, it's a bizarre joke, isn't it? Okay, so supply chain shortages, are they going to get more serious? Supply chain shortages, it's like fire going everywhere. Juggling, look, ships in the background, who's coming in and who's not. And we get having to go to plan B. Of course, he's easing tariffs, but China's the big one that he can't get through because they're playing hardball. We get temperance and moderation, again, all part of the learning again. The hope that people would learn from this. The star hope is in the past here. I asked, would he be elected? And there's more learning to come for MAGAs. It's almost like they lose all hope before they pull away from him. Defending oneself, standing one's ground. We get the Three of Pentacles coming together, coming together to solve things and rebuild. We have disappointment. Look at these cards. Only one cup remaining. It's a crossroads. How critical will they get? Ten of Swords in the hopes and fears. Critical. Very, very, very critical. The Four of Swords is the outcome card. Retreat. Wounded in battle. Sometimes mortally wounded in battle. And we get justice. FAFO. FAFO. Muck around and find out. That's what's going to happen. I'm afraid if you haven't stocked up, you should, because things are going to get pretty grim. The Five of Cups, look at these cards. The Eight of Swords again, the Ten of Wands, the Four of Pentacles, the economy downturn, heartbreak, loss, betrayal. I'm sorry this is happening. Okay, all right. So the budget will be changed. It's not going to get through in its current iteration. Supply chain shortages, the economy supply chain shortages are going to get critically worse. If an election was held tomorrow, there's still some learning to do, and there's a hope amongst Americans who want this ended and finished with. There's a hope that the learning is taking place. Let's have a look at the Dems in the House again, because I don't want to leave you without some good news when we talk about the US. All right, will the Dems retake? And yes, I've seen that election goes ahead. It's just... Will the Dems take the House in 2026? Will the Dems take the House in 2026? Will the Democrats take the House in 2026? With vigour. Okay, so people are struggling. We get worry and anxiety. But we get my card for the Democrats in the sky. Reunification, coming together. We get the Empress in the immediate future. Abundance or lack of it. We have the Page of Wands. Young people now would vote for the Democratic Party if an election was held tomorrow. We're talking about 2026. Patience, something coming to fruition in time. Absolutely, the Queen of Swords. Logic will govern this midterm. The world, part of that, part of the process, part of the cycle, the Devil card, and moving out of troubled waters. It doesn't matter what the Republicans throw at the midterms. You're defeating the Devil. You're moving away from troubled waters. You're doing your bit to end this terrible cycle. You're using logic and planning. And I think women candidates will do very well in the midterms as well. So, yes, they will retake the House. Thank goodness. Doesn't matter what the Republicans try to do in that election, it will not work. The Devil is defeated. Okay, so now Trump is proposing tariffs on movies that aren't made in America. What does that mean? Movie prices double. He's posting himself as the Pope. He's angering people. I mean, he's not sane. Show me Trump's health, mental health, physical health. Show me Trump's mental health, please. And then I want to get on to the Middle East. Okay, so we have partisanship, logic. Okay, even if he was not 79 in a few months, there seems to be a problem with his logic. The economy is suffering. Two of Pentacles. Making decisions. Is he even making decisions? The wish fulfillment is in the past, and the Queen of Wands is in the sky. Motivation, passion, the movement against him. Loss and walking away, resignation. The past, living in the past. Heartbreak and challenges. A heart problem, resurfacing. King of Pentacles in the hopes and fears. Business. And the Knight of Wands, motivation and passion and the outcome. The Page of Cups, a surprise. And we get disappointment. So, economy. There's a heart issue here. He has trouble making decisions. His passion or motivation seems to be intact, but we see disappointment here. The economy is weighing heavily on his mind. He's not thinking clearly. He's certainly making money. His voters have been disappointed. He knows his voters have been disappointed. Does he even care? Probably not. There's a heart issue there that is resurfacing. And he's having trouble. His brand of toxic politics, partisan politics, it's affecting his decision making. He feels, even though he should be backing out of these tariff wars, he's committed to it. There are decisions that aren't in the best interests of the country, but he pursues them, probably knowing that they're not the right decisions to make. But he does them because of his toxic brand of politics that he feels he has to keep regurgitating every single day. And that is affecting there's something with his heart here. He knows that he's not doing well in the polls. Doesn't matter what he says, he knows he's not doing well. I think there's also betrayal coming in the future with the Republican Party in the Congress of Trump. Okay, let's have a look at the Iran-Israel-USA war. This is what bothers me the most, that there could be a war initiated by Trump. So will Trump and Netanyahu go to war with Iran? Will Trump and Netanyahu go to war with Iran? So we have sanctions, and we have the Four of Wands, families, sanctions, money, and we have Russia. Russia is probably the only reason that they're not going to war, because Russia has a defense pact with Iran. Complete and utter downfall is in the past. We have the King of Wands in the sky. Will there be a war? Betrayal. We have the Chariot. Things are not stable in those negotiations. And the government, you might even get the government asked to authorise a strike. I hope not. The Hermit, isolation, the world will not so easily fall into line. The allies will not so easily go to war. The Knight of Swords, the Knight of Wands. Looks like they are getting ready. They're getting ready to... It's not going to end well if they do. It's not going to end well if they do. I hope not. But we're going to hear something about this shortly, that there could be movement against, like a troop build-up or something like that. It's possible that they'd be stupid enough to do that. All right, where do we want to go? The power outages in Spain and Portugal. Pardon me. They don't know precisely what caused them, but they feel that because power is being sourced from nuclear, from renewables, from thermals, from fossil fuels, the grid was not able to take the different forms of power. That's one explanation. Sabotage, I don't know. What? Let's just see. The power outage in Europe, the power outages in Europe, was this cyber sabotage? Was this sabotage in any way? Was there this a cyber attack? Were the power outages in Europe a cyber attack? Show me clearly, please. So we have heartbreak, loss, people died, and then we have wish fulfillment. I'm not feeling that it was cyber security. I feel there it is. I feel it's more the theory of renewables somehow not being compatible with the system. The Knight of Wands, temperance and moderation, manifestation. Yeah, it's too much. It was too much for the system. The Page of Swords, and the outcome is the Lover's card and the Chariot. Okay. Something coming to fruition in time. We get the Queen of Cups. My feeling is that no, it doesn't feel like a cyber attack at all. It feels like that the system failed, and it'll fail again. Unfortunately, it's going to fail again. The same thing's going to happen again, and it's a cautionary tale for all of us. Are our systems able to handle multiple inputs of energies? Are our systems up to taking that renewable type of, I guess, shift? Are our systems able to cope? But it will happen again, I feel, particularly in the summer. All right, I think I'll leave that there. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and bye for now.